All right, we are live, guys. Sorry, a little technical difficulties there, setting everything up, but we're back. Back from Florida, back from Blockchain Futurists, back into the cryptocurrency market. I know Pade's traveling. He's heading to a new conference. He'll be joining us here in a little bit. Hopefully, Zach can get in here too. But as always, guys, thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate you. I know there's a lot of different options out there in the crypto space, but wanted to get into a big discussion today about the state of crypto, kind of where we are right now. The government shutdown looks to be, basically happening. At least it's going to the final stage here. I mean, I think some people are thinking this could be a massive catalyst for the market. I don't know if it's a massive catalyst, but it's certainly a good thing. It's certainly something that, we need to happen. More than anything, while the government's been shut down for several weeks now, it's stalled a lot of the big things that could happen to crypto that could be big catalysts, like the Clarity Act, right? Like ETFs. So it's actually impacted, I think, other things that are bigger catalysts. So yes, we need the government reopened 100%. That could definitely help us move in the right direction here. But a lot of people wondering what's going on with altcoins. Are we going to see an altcoin season like we saw in 2020, 2021? Is this time a little bit different? How are we looking at the markets right now? So we'll dive into all of that here today. Appreciate you guys being with us. Make sure you guys share the space if you haven't already. I think we've got I see a couple retweets right now, a couple reposts. Only 6 so far though. So we got to boost that number up. We got to boost that number way up. Let's get some more folks in here, get some more people in here joining us. Appreciate you guys for being here. Let's take a look at the overall market first. We are live right now on YouTube and X too, so shout out to everybody listening to us live. But we'll get into let's start with Bitcoin. Starting red here at market open. Bitcoin's at 104, but the big thing is we're still range bound here, guys. I mean, nothing's really changed. Bitcoin's now, coming back down to 104 from 106. No harm, no foul. ETH is still range bound, sitting at 3,500. XRP at 245. BNB slightly below 1,000. Solana back up over 160, but everything is kind of hanging in the balance. It's really not bearish. It's not bullish. It's kind of like, well, here we are. Which direction are we going to go next? You know what I mean? That's essentially where we are. The big thing that we're looking at is Bitcoin staying above that 50-week EMA. And we're showing strength. We came down to 98K briefly. As long as we get weekly closes above that 101 level, 101,000 on Bitcoin, I remain bullish. So that is something we have talked about, now for weeks. Uniswap is pumping pretty nicely here over the last couple days. That's all because of a big unification proposal they dropped yesterday morning. Basically, what this means is Uniswap and the team over there announced that they're turning on protocol fees to share with holders, which in the process will be burning a lot of Uni tokens. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars worth, and definitely shaking up how governance works there as well. Very, very bullish vibes there going on with Uniswap, and hence why you're seeing the big price increase there. Definitely got everybody excited. Ethereum, which is tied to Uniswap, is holding pretty steady, but this is the main driver for Uniswap. Uniswap can't do what it does without ETH. And we're seeing Aerodrome Finance also bump up a little bit. That's the biggest DEX on Base. Base is a layer 2 on Ethereum. So a couple of the top Ethereum, ancillary pieces there are moving, and they're the top movers today. Uniswap and Aerodrome both looking pretty good here today. So that's pretty interesting. Just as a side note, just something to watch here is, we always want to take a look at the top altcoin movers and shakers and see why it is they're moving, and try to get out ahead of maybe some potential narratives there as well. So that's what's going on that front. A couple other things that I do see that are jumping off the page at me. Zcash had a major pullback down to 484. You know, I'm still holding a position here, but I have been actively taking a little bit of profits off the table. You got to win the trade in this market, right? And the way the altcoins are moving right now, it's all a momentum trade. Everything is kind of moving, but it's not all moving at once. And that's how this is very different than 2020, 2021, where everything moved at once. That's not the environment we're in. Things aren't all moving at once. Things are moving kind of, you know, a little bit over here in this sector. Here come the privacy coins. Here come, you know, here today, Uniswap and Aerodrome, right? When you get these pops in any of your plays that you're in, you know, it's not a bad idea, in my opinion, to realize some of those profits. It's never a bad idea, but especially the altcoin season that we're in right now and the market environment we're in. You know, I think a lot of people wondering, you know, are we in an extended cycle? Is this cycle different? Is the 4-year cycle still intact? I wanted to kind of get into all of that. The state of crypto today kind of encapsulates that. You know, I tend to think the more I've been in crypto, the longer I'm in crypto, I tend to now believe like every cycle is just completely different. There's no cycle the same. Like every cycle is different. You know, last cycle we had 2 massive run-ups on Bitcoin, 2 massive altcoin rallies. This cycle we've had a slow staircase up with Bitcoin, and you can thank the ETFs. It's changed the game. We're no longer in a retail hype-driven market. Will we get back into some level of retail hype-driven stuff? Yeah, but right now is not the season. Maybe when they make money printers go burr, we'll get back into a retail environment. You know, what could help that? Yeah, $2,000 stimulus checks, that could help. That'd be nice. But we're not in that environment right now. We're in an institutionally driven market. And I think every cycle is going to be different from here on out. I think it's always different. And the whole 4-year cycle thing, you know, the more I'm in crypto, the longer I believe, you know, yeah, it's what we've seen happen in late 2017. It's what we saw happen late in 2021, but it doesn't mean it has to happen in 2025, especially given how structurally different things are now today opposed to 4 years ago. We're in a completely different world. Would you guys agree? I mean, put a thumbs up if you agree. This is a completely different market. It's a completely different environment. So that's kind of my 2 cents there, and we'll get into some of the other top storylines as well, and get some thoughts on what you guys see right now in the altcoin market and where we think this thing's going. But I believe, you know, the next 2 months look strong, and again, all of it really comes back to Bitcoin. As long as Bitcoin stays structurally okay, then we're in a good spot. Like, we're in a good spot. I'm not overly bullish or overly bearish right now. Could we still see a pullback in early 2026 and then see the market come back in mid to late 2026? Yes, I think that's a real possibility. And if that happens, it throws the whole 4-year cycle argument completely out the window, by the way. If you're a 4-year cycle proponent, you know, you've got like a month and a half left here. I mean, can Ethereum get to 10K in a month and a half? I mean, I would love it, but I don't think so. But I also, at the same time, doesn't look like it's going to completely fall off the face of the earth, given the environment we're in, that liquidity's coming back to the markets. Guys, there's billions and billions of dollars sitting in the money market right now. That money's got to go somewhere. We're in a rate cutting cycle, right? We know that, you know, Trump wants more than anything to make this economy look strong. Like, there's just a lot of differences right now that tell me that, you know, the whole 4-year cycle thing could be long gone. Now, if we enter a bear market, you know, if we get a big run up and we enter a bear market starting in December into January, and we go into a bear market like we did in 2021, then yeah, the 4-year cycles are still here. I mean, but that's essentially what we need to be looking at right now. That's the state of crypto. Everyone's trying to figure out, is this the same? Is this different? If it's the same, we've got a couple months left. And if I'm going to be in altcoins, you know, which ones do I need to be in? It's not as easy as just throwing a dart and seeing what sticks now at on the dartboard. It's just not that simple, in my opinion. And then this whole, you know, tariff situation, government shutdown. I mean, there's so many different macro forces at play as well. So it's just a completely different world we're living in, but it's okay. We can still live in this world and thrive in it. We just got to realize that it's different than 2020, 2021, and you can't play the same game. The game has changed. It's a different game. So as long as we wake up and realize it's a different game, then we're okay. We can learn to be successful in any market, but we got to be willing to change. We got to be willing to adapt, and that's what we do here at the Crypto Breakfast Club every single day. We talk about what's happening and try to get out ahead of stuff, before other people see it. So, in saying that, I've got Saga up here, guys. Come on up, request a mic. I'd love to have you up here. I'm gonna send the space out to a couple other channels, a couple other people. Feel free to do the same. If you got some groups on TG or right here on X, let them know we're here. I'd love to hear some different people's thoughts, opinions, and just learn from each other. But Saga, what's going on, man? How you doing? How was your weekend? What's happening, man?
Morning. I'm good. My weekend was all right. My Bears won on Sunday again. Caleb Williams looking like a real quarterback this year. Doing some leverage trading last night. I had a couple nice wins on WEEX as well as paid CT baddies. So I'm in print season right now and still just trying to accumulate some of my plays that, I have a lot of faith in, whether that's HBAR or ZBCN or Pudgy Penguins. That's the game plan.
I like it, man. I mean, that's just it. Like, you got to have those high conviction plays. But I think an important point that you made me think of right there, you could still have your high conviction, longer term hold type altcoins, but you want to have capital on the sideline to also play these short term trades right now, right? Whether you're leverage trading a little bit, which that's cool. Be careful. Obviously, you can get wrecked real quick on leverage, so know what you're doing. Practice with a very small amount of money or just paper money at first if you want. But in addition to that, like even, trading on spot on like Zcash over the past several weeks, trading on spot Dash, finding the pullbacks there, trading on spot like Filecoin and ICP, like these little one-off pumps we're seeing, Uniswap right now. Like you could be taking some plays here. And guys, 10 to 20% moves in crypto like can happen in a couple hours. And those are good come-ups. Take the wins when you can get them, still while holding those longer-term spot positions, right? You don't have to play just one game. You could play play this market multiple different ways. So, Saga, I think you're doing that, right? I mean, you've got some spot positions. You're holding longer-term in some of your high-conviction plays. You're playing the leverage game a little bit, right? You can hold some spot positions for a couple days or so, right? Like there's a lot of different ways to go about this. The key is just don't get locked in and holding the bag from 2020 to 2021 on something, and then you keep adding to this bag because you feel like you have to when the narrative's not there for that altcoin. If the narrative's not there, don't keep adding to that bag and digging yourself a deeper hole. I think that's a big thing, a big mistake people are making.
I would definitely agree with that, and I can't tell you, obviously, if I made a couple mistakes with like Swiftcoin or XCN as of yet. I still think the staking reward XCN are really good at 30% right now for quarter. So I'm staking it, but accumulated one of those bags probably in like 2 months now. So I'm mainly going for, the blue chips or the top 100s at the moment.
I like it, man. Yeah, and I think that's another piece of this. Like, there are so many assets, I think, inside the top 30, inside the top 40, inside the top 50 that are undervalued right now, that have institutional interest, that have ETFs filed, that have big partnerships with traditional finance players. Like, that's where I would be looking. Like, there's no reason. I mean, sure, you can go find some diamonds in the rough or whatever, but I mean, guys, you got to manage your risk at some point, right? If you want to stay in this game, you got to manage your risk. I mean, I'm looking at Ethereum. Like Ethereum, I know it's just like one of those like, well, duh, yeah, Ethereum, whatever. But I mean, it's undervalued. It's at 3,500 right now. Like ETH should be at 7 or 8K given where Bitcoin is. I think we all know that. Okay. XRP, it's pulled back significantly. Solana pulled back significantly. Hell, I mean, even if you want more risk, Dogecoin hasn't moved yet this cycle. Cardano hasn't moved yet this cycle. Chainlink hasn't moved yet this cycle. Avalanche, Squeeze on a big pullback. Litecoin's undervalued. HBAR's undervalued. Zcash is on a pullback. If you got some high conviction on that, it's when you want to pick some up. And even if it's a day trade or swing trade, like there's a lot of these assets right at the top that have some big run potential. You know, the top AI plays, BitTensor, Tau, and Near Protocol. I like BitTensor right now. Why? Because Near got a lot of love here over the last couple of weeks. If you're a private community member of mine in my Patreon, we picked some up at 225 on Near. That thing popped up over $3 within 10 hours after the call. There you go. You could have taken your profits right there, right then and there. Or you've got a nice spot position on Near. But then the next rotation I think will be BitTensor. BitTensor is still under $400 right now. Just yesterday, we had World Liberty Fi and the Trump meme coin pop off when the government shutdown rumors circulated. Like, if you'd have just got early to that, saw it happen, like, those are short-term little, even if it's 5-10% swings, those are wins, man. Like, you could be putting in the win column right now. A win's a win. So I want to jump to Paid. Paid, what's going on, man?
GM. Waddy, I saw you try to sneak in just then. Waddy, I saw you. You try to sneak in. Yo, what's up? Nah. Good morning, y'all. What's happening? Markets, I mean, guys, Bitcoin's still above 100K, right? So, like, I don't know why everyone's so doom and gloom on the timeline, man. It's so weird. You go up to, like, you know, we get to 100K, and everyone's like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. 3 weeks later, a month later, why are we only at 100K? What the fuck? Is the market over? It's like, dude, like, these people don't know what's going on. To 100K, and everyone's like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. 3 weeks later, a month later, why are we only at 100K? What the advice? Just buckle up. We got plenty of time. We still got 2 months of this year, basically. Well, a month and a half, whatever. This year's flying by the way, guys. This year is just flying. But then, you know, if the cycle's over, okay, that's fine. Take your profits where you can, you know, at the end of the year. And if it extends, even better, you know. If we get another 1 or 2 months, that'll be fantastic. You know, February into March, maybe even 3 months, whatever. Like, who knows? Like, again, Zach was saying the institutions are here. And dropping big of Ethereum. I don't know. I think Zach mentioned that yesterday. But, like, guys, the institutions are here. I don't see this stuff collapsing anytime soon. And I think we're gonna keep running.
Can you guys hear me?
Crickets.
Hello, I can't.
You guys can hear me. Zach, I'm glad you came out and started off today the way you did, because here's what I've been. I'm sorry, hang on. Can everybody hear me? You guys can hear me. Zach, I'm glad you came out and started off today the way you did, because here's what I've been. I'm sorry, hang on. Can everybody hear me? You guys can hear me. Zach, I'm glad you came out and started off today the way you did, because here's what I've been. I'm sorry, hang on. Can everybody hear me? You guys can hear me. Zach, I'm glad you came out and started off today the way you did, because here's what I've been. I'm sorry, hang on. Can everybody hear me? You guys can hear me. Zach, I'm glad you came out and started.
right, guys, we're obviously having technical difficulties here. I'm trying to figure it out. Hold on. All right, guys, we're obviously having technical difficulties here. I'm trying to figure it out. Hold on. All right, guys, we're obviously having technical difficulties here. I'm trying to figure it out. Hold on.
Yo, I was fucking freaking out. I was like, my Wi-Fi ain't that bad. Come on.
All right, how do we sound now? I have no idea what's going on. Can you guys hear me? I can't hear you guys now. Unbelievable. Oh, this is a fucking disaster. How do we, I mean, how do we have, like, I don't know, man. YouTube got to come out with spaces. At least they can handle more than fucking 10 people in a fucking room. Like, what's YouTube? Like, just figure it out. I mean, you could go live stream over there to 100,000 people with no problem. Figure it out. Put a bunch of little bubble faces in a goddamn room and call them YouTube, you know, fucking line dances or whatever. So I can't hear anybody. Um, we're going to restart it up. Guys, we're still trying to figure this out. Obviously, we're having a bunch of technical difficulties here. If you guys are all with us on the live streams, so hang in there with us. We're trying to figure this out. Hello.
Hello.
All right. What's going on? I think we might have figured it out, hopefully.
Yeah, that was actually funny, but I hear you.
Man, that was wild, wasn't it? I have no idea what happened, bro. I guess I've got my phone going, then I got a laptop going. That's just too much for X to handle, man. 2 devices, it's just too much. Too much going on there, I guess. Elon could put rockets on frickin' Mars, but God forbid if you have a space where you're on one account on your phone and another on your laptop. I mean, that's too much. It's way too much. But let's just send rockets, and let's land them too. Let's actually be the first ever to land a rocket back down. Let's save freedom of speech.
It's actually funny you say that, Zach, because I was saying the same thing the other day, but not about the space. I was saying Elon could get rockets to go to Mars, get them to land safely, but he cannot get the freaking X algorithm to do good. That is hilarious.
It's crazy, bro. It's crazy talk. I mean, it really is. But crypto's crazy too. Let's get back into this state of the crypto conversation. Waddy, what's going on, man? What do you think right now? What's your 2 cents on this market right now, man?
Yeah, what's going on, bro? I appreciate you like always. What I'm seeing is the 2 possibilities. We're having a retest, and then we're gonna drop maybe to around 90 or 88K. That possibility is there. Or we could break the resistance, but the biggest resistance is about 116, and we could go from there. As far as the overall sentiment, this is what I'm feeling, bro. Yeah, well, I personally think that even if we go as far down at 74K, I'm not stressing it, because by then, if we don't get a reversal, which I think is very possible, then you could kind of say run for your life. But if you remember back in 2021, BTC had a drop from 64K all the way to about 28, 29K, and everyone was screaming for help. 2 months later, Bitcoin went all the way to 69K. So I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it is a possibility. Overall, if you look at the micro, quantum of easing, QT is going to end December 1st. And QE, that's usually when the markets pump. So I'm still bullish, bro.
Yeah, I mean, Waddy, that's a great point too, right? Because we actually saw that happen this year. We saw it happen across the board this year in April, right? I mean, we saw it happen with Bitcoin. We saw it happen with stocks. Everybody started running for the hills, and the smart money was buying. I mean, I've been telling this story for a while. I was scooping up the S&P 500 at $500 flat, like as much as I could. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of similar in that way. We saw it happen in 2021, where we had the run up early in the year, then the pull down, and then like the dog days of summer, everybody thought it was over, and then it ripped back up. This time's just different because we got the rip back up on Bitcoin, but not the altcoins, right? Select few here or there, but we haven't seen the altcoin run like we saw at this point in the 2021 cycle. And I think so much of that is just driven by the Bitcoin ETF. All the capital right now is flowing into Bitcoin. And by the way, guys, there's a lot of retail making money in the stock market. There's a lot of money to be made in the stock market. Go look at what Robinhood stock has done, right? I mean, and this is just a microcosm of what's going on with tech stocks right now. There's no doubt about it. I had a chance to meet Mar out in Florida. He brought up some good points when I met him out there, and then he brought it up last night in the space. Couldn't agree more. There's some retail still in the game, but they're not in altcoins right now. They're playing in the stock market world, and maybe just Bitcoin, maybe a select few altcoins here or there, but we're also not in the same environment that we were in where retail had a lot of money just to throw at altcoins either, right?
Yeah. Well, to that point, Zach, if let's say that the judge does decide that Trump tariff it's legal, and let's say that Trump does keep his word of sending $2,000 per person, bro, if that happens, there goes the money that retail needs to pump the market or even to get back into the market. And I'm also bullish on that.
I hear that. I think that could definitely be a catalyst. Now, do I think the government reopening is the catalyst that's going to send Bitcoin flying? I personally don't. I mean, listen, it's a good thing. We need the government reopened to get the Clarity Act passed. We need the government reopened to get ETFs out the damn door. Like, just because the government's reopening is not going to create all of this, crazy amount of money, in my opinion. Will it be a good thing? 100%. But I think the reason why we need it open is because it really creates the other catalyst, the true catalyst, that could come to fruition. And to me, again, those are those couple things I mentioned. That's full clarity in crypto. What the hell's a commodity? What's a security? How are we going to tax this stuff? Is it the SEC? Is it the CFTC? Is it both? All of this. This is what we've been waiting for, and we've been stalled out for weeks with the government shutdown. I mean, we've got 20 ETFs waiting for Solana. We got 20 ETFs waiting for XRP. We got over 115 ETFs across the board just sitting there waiting, right? So, and obviously all of this is kind of situated with the Clarity Act, which is kind of all-encompassing of all these things that we're talking about. So that's why I want the government reopened, not because I think it's going to be a massive pump when the government opens. I personally, listen, I'll gladly take it. I'm positioned in the market. I'm not going to be mad about it. But I think it's more about what comes after the government reopening, what comes after, hopefully, 2 more rate cuts. That's at least my take right now. Debbie, go ahead.
Good morning and happy Veterans Day to those that it applies to. I'm definitely bullish because the CME gap was 104.1. So we're in the zone, and I'm bullish. But I did want to say, in reference to yesterday, whoever was on the space, Cliff, I don't know if he's here, I can't see, but giving flowers to Postman, my friend, mailman, because the situation was rectified with my Tangent card that I got at the event in blockchain. So anybody who, if they're having a glitch with their card, he solved the issue. And like I said, because I had 2 of them. I had one that I got in the summertime. I ordered it, and then I got a new set that the guy handed to me. And so if anybody encounters, mailman, I think you should take over because you did it. But this is really important because I know that you know what, maybe I did have a couple of glitches, but I can't be the only one because, so I literally was going to throw them away because I was so frustrated because I couldn't get it to work. But there is a way to activate your card if you have this issue. Take it away, mailman.
No, I'm glad to hear that. I don't think he's a speaker, but Postman, you're welcome to come on up, man. You know that. We got a space for you for sure.
Yeah, it was, and again, thank you for just letting me have the airtime because it was really important because again, people run into these problems and you don't know what to do. I mean, yeah, you can YouTube and whatnot, but something as simple as it made all the difference. So That's my 2 cents, but I am, like I said, I'm bullish because the CME gap. I do think we're going back up 100%. By the end of the year, do I think all altcoins? No, I do not. I think there's going to be some solid top 10s that are going to go the distance, but I'm bullish.
Well, that's like I was saying too. Before the whole space rugged out the first time, I agree with you. I mean, there's no reason to go hunting like dumpster diving right now. I mean, it's just not that. We're just not that. We're not in that kind of stage of the market. Like, there's a time to go dumpster diving. Like when you're drunk in college or whatever. But now's not the time. You're too grown for that. You got to invest with the institutions now. I'm poking fun at that, but like it is what it is, right? Like there's too many top assets that are undervalued right now. I mean, shit, just start right at the top. I mean, Ethereum is undervalued. XRP is undervalued. This is just my take. I mean, Solana undervalued. Cardano hasn't moved.
Hasn't moved.
Hasn't
and like
moved.
you said, Zach, the stock market, my stocks, everything's great. You got to be in and out, and you got to move around. You got to move and shake, absolutely, because like I told you before, I hope long-term Reddit. I got a new car. My stock did so well. Seriously, because I've been holding it so long, and it's like I had to pull profits. I wasn't going to be a fool anymore. You know what I mean? And so stock market's to a fab.
Yeah, and there's people now who are saying, "Oh, the Mag 7, it's all a bubble, and it's all." I just don't see that though, because if you look at how important the Mag 7 is, like if Amazon shut down tomorrow, we'd be in trouble. Like if Google shut, you know what I mean? Like there's these tech stocks are critical. Think about how much money is wrapped up in people's 401ks in the Mag 7. Like if all of those just tanked, it would absolutely wreck everybody. So like, will there be drawdowns? Certainly. But like we're in this tech AI revolution. And within that there will be pullbacks and things like that, but these people who've been sitting on the sidelines saying, I don't invest in tech stocks. They're all just bullshit and blah, blah, blah. Well, you missed the boat on Google. You missed the boat on Amazon. You missed the boat on Netflix. You missed the boat on Facebook. You missed the boat on Nvidia. You missed the boat on Tesla. So,
right.
I mean, what are you going to do? Just keep fading it? And what? What are you waiting for?
And also, Raoul Powell said that things kicked off last year, November 7th. So things are going to get spicy. We're definitely going to have we're going to have another rally.
I think so too. And the other big one is the Bitcoin 50-week EMA. The Bitcoin 50-week EMA has been crucial, long term for us, right? And as long as we stay above that, we're structurally okay. We're in a range, guys. Like we're trading in a range. It's okay. We're at we're okay. We're closer to the bottom of the range right now than the top of the range, but we're within a range. We just had a big run up, literally 5 weeks ago. We set an all-time high on Bitcoin. Like we're not that far removed from 126,000. So zoom the hell out. We're okay.
So, Zach, I was gonna say, there's another thing that a lot of people is forgetting, and I keep addressing it because me personally, I don't feel that it's over for many other reasons. One of the reasons is the fact that, yes, institution, it's here officially, right? The other one, the ETF. The other one that I was going to say, have you guys look or check out the news of how many different companies are building Bitcoin treasuries or building ETH treasuries, and I even heard of a XRP treasury. So the more these companies keep doing that and putting money into that treasury, I also believe that that's going to help us to continue this bull market. Now, one thing you said, the 50 moving average, right? That's still bullish, but a crazy observation also, the 15, bro, the 15 on the monthly. If you look at it, it always tap the 15 when we're going down, and then from there, it goes right back up. And it looks like we're about to touch the 15, and hopefully we'll get a reversal. No guarantees, but just an observation. The 50 is still on an uptrend as well. So I don't know, man. I guess it's I tell people it's not financial advice, but it's definitely not time to panic. I still believe that Bitcoin could touch either 150 or 180. And if it does better than that, then hey, it's more than welcome.
Yeah, and I mean, along those same lines, like everybody wants to still talk about 4 year cycles, 4 year cycles, 4 year cycles. I just think we're removing ourselves from all of that. I don't agree with the 4 year cycle anymore. I mean, it was cool, when the institutions weren't here and crypto was this really small market, and the Bitcoin halving actually had a drastic impact on things. But now we've moved from retail to institutional money. Do you think the institutions are going to allow Bitcoin to absolutely collapse and crater to like 10 to 15K? I don't. And I heard some people talking about that like over the weekend, and I'm like, I don't agree. There's no way. Will there be a pullback? 100%.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I even said this myself. There is also another possibility. The other possibility is we could keep playing this game, which Bitcoin pumps and then dumps, then it pumps again, then it dumps, and we could stay like that for years, right? That's a big possibility because the halving cycle pretty much ended the minute that the ETF were approved. Because if you notice, usually Bitcoin is supposed to start running about 150 to 160 days after the halving, right? Bitcoin started going up before the halving itself. And this is what I'm trying to tell people. Like, if you're
It set a new
still
all-time high,
believing,
Waddy, right? Didn't it? It set a new all-time high
right.
before the halving. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you still believe that the 4 year cycle is still in play, then I don't know. I think that a lot of people is about to be surprised. And when you have, all these companies, you got Larry Fink calling for 750. He's the BlackRock CEO. You have Arthur Hayes, saying 1 million. You got Eric Trump himself on national TV claiming 1 million. So it is possible. I don't want to overhype it, but at the same time, if they slowly and steady brings Bitcoin up with those dip, then yeah, that possibility is still there.
And I think the whole 4 year cycle, it was easy to wrap your head around. It's easy to understand. And people like easy. People like, okay, take this mental shortcut. This is how it works. And here we go, right? But it's a completely different world now with the institutions. To your point, Waddy, I mean, like, is there more manipulation in the short term? 100%. There's definitely more manipulation. Is there less volatility, though? Probably. Yeah, I think so. I think that's also true. But, I mean, the thing with Bitcoin that is still, never going to change is the supply. So, I know in the short term, a lot of this is OTC buying or whatever. It's not on the chart. I get that. But long term, I mean, just supply and demand tells us that if the institutions are going to continue to stack, if we're looking at pension fund allocations, we're looking at Bitcoin treasury companies, that supply is shrinking. And what does that tell us? When supply shrinks, demand rises, and people pay a premium for whatever that asset is. I mean, so it's a completely different world we're living in, completely different. And it'll be really interesting to kind of watch how these next 2 months play out. I am very, very curious to see how these next 2 months play out. But I think right now, more than ever, don't pigeonhole yourself into one thesis. Don't come to this grand conclusion that this is how it's going to go based on this one metric that I, learned about. Because I think you're just being short-sighted. Because at the end of the day, nobody ever knows what's going to happen, but especially not right now. We've never seen this type of environment ever. When you take in the macro, when you take in the ETFs, when you take in just how watered down the altcoin market is, how much shit's out there, like, it's a completely different world. I still tend to believe that if you're invested in the right altcoins, we're going to see a rally at some point, whether it's late 2025, early 2026, and then probably a big pullback at some point in 2026. Like guys, Bitcoin came down from $110,000 to $75,000 this year. That happened this year. Like that's you can call that a crash if you want. I mean, whatever, you know what I mean? Everybody has their different terminology, crash, correction. It's just a correction, whatever. That's a big drawdown. We were at 110 and we came down to $75,000. Just to
if you take a moment to really focus of any specific alt in Bitcoin and you focus on the total chart, you had your correction. It was $1 trillion.
100%.
We now need to be seen as a sector, not necessarily just Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's becoming less volatile, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. And I think, honestly, where we really need to get is, like, we need to get to this point where certain altcoins are kind of in a different league class of their own. And I think we're kind of working through those growing pains right now. Let's see here. Waddy, go ahead. You got your hand up. Go ahead, man. And then we'll get to Matt.
Oh, no, that must be a glitch because I didn't put it up.
I got you, brother. Matt, what's going on, man?
Yo, I'm here. Yeah, I'm listening. Good points about the 4-year cycle. The 4-year cycle no longer really relevant. I've been thinking that for quite a while now. I've actually been saying it. And I've been saying we're in discovery, right? And nobody really knows what's going on. I mean, that's why we come to these spaces, is to get everybody's updates and their opinions and what makes sense. So, like, seeing over the weekend, how the government, they're getting everything up and running again, taking advantage of that nice pump, and seeing that Bitcoin is still above 100K, and it really didn't, what did it go? Went down to like 98.9 or something like that. But it held pretty good, all things considered. And no, I don't think Bitcoin is going back below 98,000 ever in my lifetime. And here's why. There's a lot of people that are waking up now to Bitcoin, and they're thinking getting Bitcoin under 100K is a bargain. All right. And yes, we missed it at 10 cents, $1, $100, $1,000. I watched it at 15K a few years ago. Right. And still not completely convinced of the timeline of how they're making the switch to crypto. But now I'm 100% convinced of the timeline to switch over to crypto. Cash, they're going to let it just phase out. I mean, go to like Walmart or Target, Target. Go to Walmart or Target and see how many people pay with cash. You don't really see it anymore. So cash is pretty much in the past. Crypto is being ushered in. Everybody's using cards. You can get a crypto.com credit card, right? Or Coinbase credit card. So it's here. Regular people don't see it the way we do. And they also don't understand why we would flip over to Bitcoin or switch over to cryptocurrencies. So they're pretty much gone. I don't think retail is really going to come back too much at all, like a very small percentage maybe, but that's it. They're done. Now it's more of like a sneaky switch over behind the scenes type thing, right? Like these ISO plays, Hedera, XLM, the XRP, like these main ISO plays, and it's not just 20022. There's like 50 other ISO plays out there, and actually, Crowcoin covers most of them, if not all, which is extremely bullish if you go down that rabbit hole. Anyways, they're going to switch over to crypto, whether we like it or not, whether we understand it or not, whether we want it or not. And it looks like they're going to move forward. So how can anybody be bearish right now? I don't know. I'm never bearish because I know what's happening. Like, I shouldn't say I know what's happening. I am very aware of what Agenda 2030 is and how that is not going to fail. You think the banks are too big to fail? Go read Agenda 2030. Just read the bullet points. Skim through it. Pick up a sentence every now and then. And you think they're going to fail with that? No. Why? George H.W. Bush, back in the 80s, when he was sitting president, said they're going to win. The new order is going to happen. It will be successful, whether you want it or not. Whether you push back or not, it's going to happen. And it's happening right before our eyes right now. And it's great because if you're here holding crypto or Bitcoin, I mean, you're going to win. It's that simple. And getting back to like what Zach Humphries was saying about not getting wrecked. Look, I'm in the trenches just about every day. I took a little bit of time off, but those are something completely different. If you're just now getting into crypto, not financial advice, stick to the top 100. Don't wreck yourself. This is so easy right now. I think you can throw a dart at the top 100 pretty safely right now. That's just me. That's my opinion. Anything outside that is going to be a little risky. But the top 100, dang, look at all this utility they have. Look at all the regulation they have. We haven't even passed, the Clarity Act isn't even a thing yet. And we're talking, these are here to stay. So this is a great time. For whatever reason, they gave us this killer buying opportunity. And I was like, what are they doing? Why are they dropping this? I mean, man, it was a fire sale, and I hope everybody took advantage of those low prices. We always say, are you going to see those again? We're never going to see them again. You know what? The timeline, here's why I stick to the 2030. Agenda 2030 isn't just a title. 2030 means the year 2030. They want everything switched over to the new phase by 2030. Everything's going to be rewritten. Land ownership is being rewritten. And it's being rewritten for what? Why? To get tokenized. So all that's in Agenda 2030. It's in the white papers. Anybody can go read it. You know, like Mutasco says, like, go read it. You know, I mean, yes, the utility, all these coins, this technology is great. But you know what? I don't care about the technology. I care about how to make multipliers with my cash. So it looks like the top 100 from this moment on is going to be the easiest money-making opportunity we've had in a very long time. Why do they keep crashing this thing out? Well, for their buddies to get in cheaper and for the soft-handed degens to get shaken out. I mean, that's all I think. It's got to be that simple. Otherwise, you know, maybe I just think too deep into these conspiracy stuff, but hey, it looks fine. I mean, every now and then you get in some rough waters or whatever, but you know what? It's fine. Everything looks good from here on out. I tell you what, top 100, man, if I was new into crypto, I'd stay there and I wouldn't have a worry in the world.
So you're saying never below 98 again?
I'm saying Bitcoin never below 98 again. Correct. Yes.
Can you put that on the timeline?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it has no reason to go below 98. There's too many people with money. Still, there's too many people that are middle class.
I'm just thinking we did this like 3 weeks ago and it went below 98. So
Matt, that's a rare spiel you've given where it's not entirely about market manipulation. A little bit, but not like entirely.
Well, you know, it's market manipulation
call,
at its finest.
Sorry, Matt, I just called 90K if the retest fail, about 105 or so. So,
What would be the reason for them to drop it back down way below 100K, 98K? Why would they do that? I'm sitting here right now where if they did that, I would basically laugh at them for being so foolish. You know what I mean? Out of those 21 million Bitcoins, there's a lot of people left that are like, hey, I'm just waiting for this thing to get for a buying opportunity. And if it doesn't come around, it doesn't come around. It's not a big deal. So I miss it. But there's a shit pile of people standing around waiting for Bitcoin to drop back to 90K or 95K or 50K. Are they going to give us that Christmas gift? You know what I mean? Are they going to give us that? Hey, go ahead, do it. I'm waiting. We're like sharks in the water waiting here. If my fortune is that good, I tell you what, we're all going to be millionaires, no questions asked. But I don't see them going, you know what, this asshole has enough to buy maybe a couple of them at 75K. Yeah, let them buy it. No, they're not going to give me that opportunity. They're not going to give anybody those opportunities.
I could see it coming. I could see it coming down to 70, 75. I mean, that's my realistic expectation. 70 to 75 within a quote unquote, crypto winter.
We've been here long enough. We know.
70 to 75K. It would be kind of my, I mean, generally speaking, like I would feel comfortable accumulating a large amount there, even if we went a little bit lower than that. I don't think it would be that much lower.
You know what I see them actually doing? Holding Bitcoin above 100K, crashing the altcoins, wiping out the altcoins.
They already did that.
That's already
did that.
Matt, the altcoins really can't go down much more. They've pretty much already done that if they did that.
That's where the money came from. They already crashed the altcoins to protect Bitcoin and ETH. Look at the charts. Go to any altcoin chart. The giant wick, it ruined every chart.
But now you're starting to see over the past several weeks, like certain altcoins, dino coins even, start to run. I mean, like Filecoin running up. I know Uniswap had a bunch of news come out yesterday. That's creating a little spark there. The whole Zcash privacy narrative. Like you're seeing like a lot of these dino coins start to move a little bit, which is kind of interesting. I mean, because they were all flat, a couple months ago. What is that an indication of something to come? I still think we're going to get an altcoin run, but it's going to be very, very different than 2020, 2021. You're going to have to be in the right shit. If you're in the wrong shit, you're going to look back and say, "Damn, what the hell was I thinking?" If you were in the right shit, you're going to, look brilliant. I mean, it's just that simple, I think. I mean, go ahead, Ben.
And then Uniswap running is kind of encouraging in my opinion. So it's up 74% in the week. This is pretty much the only time I've ever seen Uniswap running when Ethereum is not running. Obviously, since it's the DEX for Ethereum coins, usually when it's like ETH meme season, then Uniswap is just going crazy as well. This time it's just based on news. I guess they're lowering their fees a little bit, and they're doing something where like part of the fee in each transaction goes to some pool, and then people can like burn a Uni token and they get a native token. It's like complicated. I didn't really understand it, but it was basically just a protocol development announcement, up 74% in the week when the market's done absolutely nothing in the last week. So that's encouraging. So just the fact that some things can run right now, that's encouraging in my mind. So we'll see.
I'm with you. I mean, wherever there is institutional interest, wherever there's ETFs filed, wherever, you know what I mean? Wherever there's institutional backing, go look at what Grayscale holds. Like these sort of narratives, like that's what I'm playing. And I've been saying this for a really long time. Like, and I mean, I could be right, I could be wrong, but like the one thing I've identified so far in this come up since 2022 to now is it's all about the institutions. So don't try to go against them. You're playing a losing game. It's like which team do you want to be a part of? The frickin' Monstars or the frickin' Rugrats? It's like I think I'll join the Monstars and sit on the bench and try to get a ring. You know, like that's kind of how I look at this right now. You know, there's a lot of people kind of stuck in the 2020, 2021 cycle still, you know, hoping and praying that their altcoin's going to run. If the institutions don't care about it, neither do I. And like, that could be right, could be wrong, but like, I mean, look what's happened here. If you just invested in Bitcoin the last 3 years, there's a very, very high probability that you're outperforming everybody else, unless you're a really good trader. That's it, right? I mean, like if you're a spot bag holder in altcoins the last 3 years, you've underperformed the guy that's just bought Bitcoin passively every single week. You've underperformed him. And so that's the trend. The trend is your friend. Follow it, right? I mean, will we get back into an environment where meme coins are going crazy? Yeah. We're just not there right now. So why play on that playground? Like it's desolate. There's 2 feet of snow over on that playground. I don't want to play in there right now.
Where you at, Zach?
Where am I at?
98.
What's that?
I'm at 98. Where are you at?
98 on Bitcoin?
Are you asking what his prediction is?
Yeah.
Coming back down to test it?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the bottom of the range, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I wouldn't get freaked out. I mean, right. I'm looking at that 50-week EMA. I think a bunch of people are saying that. Like, I think that's really, really crucial. As long as we get weekly closes above that 50-week EMA, okay, we can trend at the bottom of the range. It's okay. If we start breaking that and there's 2 weeks that go by where we're underneath that 50-week EMA, I'm going to be quickly positioning myself more in stablecoins. And I already have a decent stablecoin position right now. That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, Paid, what's up, man?
Yo, real quick, just to your point, I talked about this, I think, last week. You're mentioning, people just buying Bitcoin right now and outperforming basically everything else, over the last 2 years or whatever. But it's interesting when you're saying, people getting in now, new people getting in now are actually buying at these lows that a lot of these tokens weren't at even earlier this year. My favorite VeChain was at a nickel in January. It's like less than 2 cents right now. So if I'm buying at a nickel and then buying at 4 cents or, just DCAing my way down, not just on VeChain, on everything I hold, if you just came in right now and had capital, you're basically wherever we are, unless you're trading. But if you just have whatever amount of money you put into the market now, you are buying at, in my opinion, premium prices. This is this is the best time to get in right now, in my opinion, right? This is you're getting the fucking same prices as last cycle for a lot of these tokens. And then even the new ones that have come out this year are already down so much because of, what's going on in the market in general. So if you're new and you're listening to this, hey, just, not financial advice, but I'll start jumping into some things.
That is a good point. I mean, this is a pretty good time for a newbie to come in the space. I mean, for some of the top altcoins, for sure. I mean, I agree. I'm with you there. Steve, you haven't had a chance to jump in. What's up, man? Good morning to you.
Just wanted to say hello. I forgot what I was going to say earlier, but I'll give the mic back to you.
No voting you as the sleeping giant?
Steve, you can wait.
Well, I don't have to say it. You say it for me.
Steve, what do you think about the direction of the market? Are we going up? Are we going down? You got any price predictions?
The cycles have been over for quite some time, as we all know. And I'm just waiting for the trillions and trillions of dollars from all these. I'm just waiting for the trillions to come into the market, in 2026. I'm waiting for the trillions.
Funny you say that. Anybody catch Kenton yesterday?
No, I saw it in the top 100, and it was sitting at a $3.5 billion market cap. I'm like, what the hell is this?
It listed at 5 and collapsed to 3. Kenton came in with a full clip on their own ecosystem, not touching anything else, and a fair drop, and they came in with 7 trillion already tokenized, allegedly.
Who are they working with?
They're invested by BlackRock, Citi, all the usual suspects. I sent a data dump in the chat somewhere.
See, there you go, right? I mean, like,
They didn't even need anybody. They just did. We're going to do our own thing over here with all the things you guys keep talking about narratives. It's already done.
Yeah, we're going to see trillions coming like left and right in the upcoming months. Just boom, boom, boom. All these market caps are going to be going to the trillions, and we're going to be like, what the hell is going on? But that's what's going to be happening.
It has 99% of what other L1s have already put in their white paper. $6 trillion in tokenized assets at the start. $280 billion in daily repo volume via Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, Moody's, DTCC, Citi. I told you guys are going to sneak up real quick.
it makes you wonder, like, how many of the institutions have things built out like this. Like, we always get, like, you know, oh, so excited about, look what they're building. It's like, well, people with money, they probably already have it built, and they're just coming
Waiting
out with
to
it
click
at
deploy.
a time that makes sense.
Yeah, what do you think like Bank of America has already done and developed?
Right.
They already have their apps ready for crypto. All the apps for the smartphones and iPads and tablet PCs, they're all ready to go. They're just waiting.
I think we have to work past and work ahead of the everyman narratives because they're not going to work this time. Like, we have to, like, understand that they have their own stuff built. So,
Yeah, all the major
just
banks
invest with them, right? I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, just, you know,
oh, they limited
swallow your
Americans
pride.
can't have it, by the way.
Well, yeah, you can't get in when they get in. But
No, I'm saying you can't buy CC. You have to go to different exotics.
oh, really? It's not even listed on exchanges, or
Nope, not here. There's everywhere else though. So, well, they did the same thing with Sue. Remember in the beginning? No one wanted this domestically, and then it came in a couple days later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Odin, what's going on, man? I see Odin down there. What's your take? Odin, you there?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of making some coffee. I can't function without my coffee. But dude, the markets are consolidating after the pump that we've seen. I think we're doing good, man. I just recommend you guys stay convicted. If you guys hold Bitcoin, hold it. That's always going to be a long-term play. But now, if you ask me, I'm looking at XRP and ETHEREUM. I think that's going to pump more than Bitcoin this cycle. But that's my take on the market.
I'm really curious about XRP and Solana because those two have over 20 ETFs filed. I'm very interested to see what kind of demand there actually is when those come out. And if there is demand, you know what's going to happen. BlackRock and Fidelity are going to file, offer less fees, and everybody will just port over there. Like those two in particular right now, if we can get the Clarity Act through before the end of the year, that's going to be really interesting to watch it play out. And then a little further down the road, probably we're going to see basket ETFs. And I think that's where we're really going to start to find which altcoins the institutions actually want and which altcoins they don't want. Like, to me, that's what we really need to see. In order for me to say, you know, oh, Solana's a 10-year hold now, or ETH is a long-term play, you know, I'm invested in both of those. So don't get it twisted. I'm not like not there. I'm there, but I'm like kind of spread a little thin right now until that picture becomes a little clearer. Like, that's at least how I'm playing it. Because I don't think the institutions are going to stop just at Bitcoin and ETH in terms of what they want, in terms of what they can utilize or what they want to invest in. They're going to want to control a few other things too. That's at least my quick take, you know?
No, dude, 100%, bro. These big institutions are greedy. If you think they're only going to be messing with the top 5, coins, you're mistaken. You are mistaken, and you need to do more research, man. Because
and Litecoin is another interesting outlier to me because it has all this, similar principles as Bitcoin. I know that chart has looked god awful for a really long time, but man, I mean, could you imagine if the institutions, a few of them wake up and they decide to say, hey, you know what? Let's make Litecoin the next big thing. Like, and again, it's proof of work, right? It has a lot of the same properties as Bitcoin. I mean, there's going to be some other big winners here. I just don't think the picture's very clear just yet, but we're freaking close.
Zach, look, the only thing I gotta say before letting Mutasco go on his 3-hour speech.
Martin Luther King had a dream. Mutasco.
Odin, you better get another cup of coffee ready, buddy.
So, well, the first thing I pin a post that it says BTC shows signs of a major reversal. So that's bullish, that's data, right? Now, the other thing is when it comes to the ETF XRP, bro, I think there's going to be way much more demand there. I don't know if you got to take a look at Ripple swell, but dude, there were major players speaking over there. And that's why I'm like, man, you know, I'm not saying XRP is going to go to 10K, anything like that. I still don't see that happening anytime soon. And if it does happen, according to Grok, it would require 50% of Swift transaction and 50% of DTCC transaction, right? And it talks about 18K XRP. But what I am saying is, and why I bought back in, is because I'm like, man, XRP is still the top for cryptocurrency. Institutions do want it, and a lot of people still want XRP, and they're building treasury as well. So I would be a fool just to completely ignore it because of the 10K influencer. And so now, when it comes to the H4 ETF, bro, I don't know, man. The Canary Capital One seems like it has been struggling to actually get some trading volume. And yeah, if you ask me, XRP definitely. Mutasco, take over.
Hold on real quick before we get there, Waddy. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. What came out of Swell is interesting. But what they did just in the weeks prior has been really fascinating. So, like, they went and acquired that company for $1 billion, Hidden Road or whatever. And by the way, they're not done acquiring companies. Any company with money has the ability to acquire what they need. They don't have to build what they need. They can just go buy it. I mean, a perfect example is like, you know, like Snapchat and like stories or whatever, you know, like it doesn't really matter. Like these big companies. So that's where I think Ripple has an advantage. They're the largest US based company by market cap. They're already working with the BlackRocks of the world, the institutional side of things. But what they're really trying to do now is they're trying to become their own bank. And they're getting into the brokerage space. They basically went and acquired Hidden Road, and they started Ripple Prime. That's their newly launched prime brokerage platform. And that right there just shows you what their aim is. Like they're trying to literally become the biggest crypto bank, right?
Yep.
And when we talk about the merge of like TradFi to DeFi, these are the type of companies that I think are going to be working with the big TradFi conglomerates to make it a reality. So that's what I want a piece of. I know Ondo Finance has looked like dog shit on the charts, but it's one of the main reasons why I still like it is because of who they're working with and what they're trying to do. Talking about trillions of dollars of real world assets being tokenized, US treasuries, equities, Chainlink, another one. I know the, you know, tokenomics aren't the best and the chart hasn't moved, but like I still rather take those bets than some startup thing trying to do this thing. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like outside of Bitcoin, if I'm going to take my altcoin bets, that's where I'm going to take my bet.
Dude, just the acquisition of G Treasury that connects it with about 13,000 banks alone, that tells you, that gives you an idea what they're gonna do. And you know, there is one focus that a lot of people have in this space, and I was one of them, so I'm admitting it. You know, I gave people a lot of crap when they said that XRP is now ISO compliant because it is on their website. It is on ISO 222.org. You go there, you go to FAQ, and it will tell you that there is no cryptocurrency that's ISO compliant, right? So, and then taking over Swift or working with Swift, all that narrative, I debunked it because even the Swift CIO, he said that there is no coin or no one is going to trust no cryptocurrency coin for payment and all of that. So when I debunked all of that, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that, man, they're doing all these acquisitions. They could just be a straight up competitor to Swift. They don't even have to work with Swift if Swift doesn't want that. But they could be a straight up competitor to Swift. And then later on, I do still believe it would take some time for adoption, innovation, but it is crystal clear when you look at every company they acquire and what exactly how those company benefit Ripple or XRP. So that's why I bought back in.
Yeah, I mean, when we think about the altcoin market, it's all speculative, but why not speculate on companies acquiring, billion-dollar companies to become a bank? You know what I mean? Who knows how it's all going to play out, but there's a reason why XRP was able to sustain themselves throughout a 4-year lawsuit. There's a reason why when you go look at all the data in terms of what people care about on the retail side during a time where retail, has not even been in crypto. It's like all the search traffic is on XRP outside of Bitcoin, right? So again, it's all speculation, but at least there's, there's some flames still where there's smoke, right? I mean, so yeah, I mean, I'm going to speculate there. Give me those assets. Give me the XRPs, the XLMs, the HBARs, the Litecoins, the chain links, anywhere where I can see potential institutional big money coming in or, something to that effect. That's where I'm going to speculate, man. There's no reason to go outside of that right now, in my opinion. And will it change and evolve? Yeah, it will. But right now, that's where I'm at. I want to get Larry up here too. Stevie, you mind if I drop you down, bro? You good with that? Awesome, man. Bring Larry up here. Odin, you had something you want to respond to. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I wanted to know if I could sacrifice my spot to bring a educated young man up here by the name of Rodri. He's the next generation, and I think it's important for us to hear his viewpoint on all this as well, since they are we are paving the road for them. This is going to be their market in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if that person wants to request, go ahead, man. Yeah, if you drop down, is he in the space right now or?
Yes, sir. His name is Rodri. I'm gonna drop down.
Tell him to request. We'll get him up.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I'll kick it over to Mutasco. He's been waiting here. And we got a bunch of other hands up, so we'll get to everybody here. Go ahead, Mutasco.
No, good morning. I was going to just comment on some of the big things that just happened, and I think we all just brush it off on just the real estate side, and also if you look at just credit in general. There's a lot of things being played underneath the economy right now that I have no doubt that there's no way anybody will convince me that this market is not going to run hot. And I'm just going to leave it there. I don't know that people understand what is being done right now. And a lot of people are going to regret it. Anybody that just follows this nonsense about, oh yeah, it could be bearish, but I was listening to, and I think I tagged you, Zach. It's in the comment section for anybody to go look at. If you look at globally, there's private and public. if you look at the totality of it, I mean, I don't have the numbers for this year, but I'm sure that number just keeps going up. But if you look at the chart, you're looking at 2009 to 2024, that number keeps going up. So the reason I'm bringing this up is if you do like, what percentage of that is Bitcoin today? It's not even 1%. It's like 0.8%. Okay. Depending on how you calculate it, if you take Bitcoin's market cap today and you work it out with the 246 trillion. And then if you say, well, what is 2%? 5 trillion market cap? And even with Michael Saylor and the buying he's just doing, I was listening to him in a podcast recently, and he's talking about Bitcoin is going to hit like 28 trillion. He's done the numbers, by the way, and he's saying, so I'm looking at 28 trillion, I'm like, okay, what price will that be? Like 1.5 million? That's Bitcoin. But he says that in 20 years, okay? Why am I saying this? You have to zoom out. You also have to recognize what Bitcoin is. And then you don't have to ignore what these institutions are doing. And they're very good at keeping things, secret, right? Until it's done. So again, it baffles me, and I'm gonna be Warren Buffett here. I'm gonna I'm gonna stay quiet. Because you can get shaken out of your bags if you're not careful. Where we're at right now, that is literally that moment where everyone thinks is over because they're ignoring all the other things. But I'm bullish. I'm still bullish. Go ahead, Larry, or Dr. Tad, anybody that has their hand up.
Hey, everyone. It's been a while. Thanks, Matasco. I wanted to comment on something that Wadi and Zach was talking about, just kind of came in kind of late. You just have to follow the money, like we always talk about, something that I, say until my tires are bald. But, China recently announced that they're accepting deposits. They made deals with Binance and with Alibaba, which is Ant Group, to start accepting deposits. And their SOP for how they did that was pretty sneaky. At first, they got private banks to be vendors, and then and service providers for financial instruments, being stable tokens, right? But now the reality that we live in is that how much dilution can U.S. Treasury notes handle? And China recognized it the same. So if you don't know that something is brewing, it's crazy that the three top Chinese-backed state-owned banks and private banks are fully made announcements with both Binance and Ant Group to say that we're going to start accepting deposits for financial instruments. And that's their fancy, nomenclature for stable tokens, for property, and for, the big thing is this basket ETFs, because they know that the treasury note can only handle so much dilution. So more pressure is being applied by all of these treasury notes, all these stable tokens that are being made, because everything is pegged against the dollar. It's the original stable token, right? So if you want to know where the inception of Tether came from, it didn't come from just a bunch of cryptographers or coders or engineers. It came up from a huge group of bankers, using the US dollar and its treasury note as the basis for the financial instruments themselves. And now we're seeing is all of this technology is being bought up by, the main ISOs and the main conglomerates. We talk about, for example, Ripple and XRP, Ondo, Black, any of them, right? Grayscale, any large wealth management funds, they're all starting to compartmentalize and kind of consolidate, right? And when you have this type of movement in the market, the bleeding has to come from somewhere. So just like banks, who is going to suffer first? It's not the top 1%. It's going to be emerging markets or the average Joe, like many of us are average Joes, right? There's going to be many bears, but if you look at the hyperbolic nature of the market as a whole, the long term, people are not investing this type of money. You're seeing complete GDPs of countries being used to acquire not just the IP, but also the data, which is the users, right? The end users as a whole. And we have lots of things happening in the market now. We have a paradigm shift, right? And from when did we ever think that privacy was going to be the next big burgeoning market along with AI? Well, it's been one of the four wheels, right? We talk about RWAs, we talk about stable tokens as instruments for tokenizing both of those assets, right? And then you talk about AI and privacy. If you put those together, you can kind of forecast what the market's going to burgeon into. But yeah, you look at the two largest economies in the world and making dynamic movements on legitimizing and reducing barriers of entry, not for developers or people at the grassroots like ourselves, but banks and major institutions. That's who's being incentivized right now to build hold. And I have, if you don't believe in that, we would never see from both liberal or conservative constituency an acceptance of blockchain or stable tokens being placed in state budgets, nation states, whole countries, right? Like Japan's a good example of that. They are lacking, growth protocols or like extenders for their growth, for their GDP and their economy. They don't have for example, they don't have population to support. So now they're issuing all of this credit on a super diluted dollar and a yen, right? And so Japan and Hong Kong, two of the largest bodies that are empowering emerging economies and using the emerging economies like from other, for example, like Vietnam, Thailand. Japan is heavy. Soft pay is heavy in those markets. And if you look at, for example, Circle, you look at USDC, you look at their main payment rail. I'm not going to mention their name, but their main, you would think the USDC, and Circle, the way they market themselves as being the champion of the ethical stable token of the US, but it's changed now. They are targeting emerging economies in APAC and the GCC in Africa. Circle has made a huge momentum change in the last 3 or 4 days, or last week, I would say. And Tether is quietly, what are we going to back our assets on? We are the largest conglomerate, and we're the largest market share for stable tokens. Well, we're just going to create the largest mining operation in the world, right? So now it's an arms race. And what does that trickle down to? What it's always trickled down to? Number of heads, number of accounts, the data, and power, right? Where is cheap power coming from? And we never have thought about that power would become such a monopolized asset now since the Cold War. So in essence, we are still in a Cold War, but it's just economic warfare, right? But the greatest thing is that instead of being on the sidelines, we are being used as, either cannon fodder or a part of the financial instrumentation, either in data or execution. That is the big picture. So it's kind of Orwellian in nature, but it's really happening. Never in my lifetime would I think we'd have, a mass, pandemic to stifle and stop the economy, but farm huge amounts of liquidity sitting, and then that temporary liquidity became the wheels for the massive amounts of liquidity we have in this market, right? Because like I've always said, TradFi has gaslighted solutions and policy for Web3, right? And Web3 has gaslighted technological and innovation solutions for TradFi, but it's always been one and the same. Like I said, who financed the creation of these ISOs and these stables? Banks. Yes, there's some very influential cryptographers and coders, but it's never been separate. Like we want to live this decentralized dream, but it is the reality.
Do we know if Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are still trying to IPO?
Oh, Zach, thank you for saying that.
The only reason why I'm asking is because they just sent out a communique saying they're going to run the 2008 gambit, but they're dropping the 620 required credit score to purchase a house. So they're going to do 2008, guys.
Yeah, no, Zach, that brings up a point. And Zach Humphries, you just said something very important, and you reminded me of something. Look at how many of the banks. So look at the top 10 banks in the U.S. and see just do a search of who they are partnering with for technology or MOUs, and you'll be quite shocked to see, right? It's just like you said, follow the money. But look at all of the technology integrators. Look at like AVAX and Chainlink. Ripple's, all of their deals are quiet because they're with big banking and they're very partnered up with like the BlackRocks of the world for actual asset tokenization and management. But if you look at AVAX and Chainlink, Algorand is another good example. Recently, you'll see that they are really getting into slice of life with major banking partners. So all of these MOUs that we tap off lightly, and like we have talked about, Ripple just acquires IP. Before, it was to grab all the IP to make them soluble and have no competition in the market. But now it's quite different. Now they're buying IP to remove competitors and solutions or other technologies that are formative and disruptive for us in the space, right? So it's very important.
Well, that's what Google and Meta did right after that's phase 2, right? Take on the competition.
Yeah. Well,
So
Zach's smart guy, man.
So the Web3 has evolved to the next level, which is take out your competition.
Yeah, Web3 is very much Web2. I mean, it's TradFi. I hate to say it that way. Many of us want to live this decentralized dream, and it's going to have to be through privacy. And that's why privacy is a huge meta right now for growth and everything else in the space. And never have we had so many military accelerators and labs come into the foray for Web3 and finance, because decentralized finance and TradFi is, again, an extension of the Cold War narrative, right? And yeah, I have more to say on that, but I don't want to get censored again. I feel like even my account's been kind of censored to a certain extent. So
is it really true that Snowden made Zcash?
I would say that some of the money probably came from. I'm not going to comment. I would just say that the Zcash is, they survived a lot to be where they're at, but I've never seen any privacy cash protocol have so many interesting turns of luck. I'm not taking anything away from it.
They have the right floor. I believe Vitalik gave the money. Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, Gemini, AI15G, and Horowitz all gave money.
Let's put it to you like this, Zach. Tornado Cash's founder, their biggest competitor, went through nothing but hurdles, and they tried to express both, cooperative. They were willing to cooperate, etc. But founder got thrown in jail and indicted, and Zcash has kind of stayed around quietly. But I mean, I guess there's sometimes facts are stranger than fiction, right? I don't think that was by accident. And some of the other privacy protocols too, the mixer protocols, they all experience a lot of trials and tribulations, but Zcash never did, right? And
do you think that was an intimidation tactic to get the crack for it? Because I know the government put out a bounty for like 10 mil to crack Zcash, and it never did.
There's always, that's propaganda is a very strong. And I'm just saying this as an opinion.
None of that is propaganda. Those are facts.
No. I'm talking about that $10 million bounty could have been put out there so that everything looks fair, is what I'm saying.
You think counterintelligence, and it was always cracked?
Yeah, it was counterinsurgency for sure in the market. It happens every day. I mean, you look at what happened with, for example, Coinbase. That's a perfect example. I'll get out of that topic because but save it for another time. But there's a lot of other speakers here. But Zach, I'm telling you, both Zachs and Paid and Matasco, I think that what you're going to see is their banks are really relying on Web3 to be the next money farm, right? And like Zach, you're talking about, that's what you want to be a part of. Well, I mean, if you can get into the equity side of banks early, because again, finance and TradFi, or laws and finance, are going to change soon again, because they're going to adopt some of the KYC and restrictions for forbearance, right? So I'm not giving anyone financial advice, but I would tell you that if you can invest into, some type of stock portfolio for some of these major banks, because like lots of these stable pools and these side pools for some of the main, foundational tokens, their liquidity is not as deep as people think. They can put a guesstimate there. They can put lots of statistics. They own all the API.
Do you think that's Warren's play? The most
You said
liquid
it,
bank on
Zach.
earth.
Yeah, you said it, Zach. You said it, Zach. So I'm just giving you some speculative, very informed speculative opinions, right? I'd be very careful how I say things for a while. I would tell you that it's a very, informed speculative narrative. But I would tell you that if you just see who the banks are working with, you want to find your blue chips, there it is. And like Matasco said, it might happen not today, might not next week, but it's the long play. And you could simply do a Google search. The most, I would tell you the most public, the signal intelligence wise and like OSINT wise, the easiest way for you to do is to go through and look at domains. That's the first stage. I'm not telling you what to do, and I'm not giving you any advice, but go look up all domain registries and cross-reference those names for the service brackets that they're connected to and who acquired them. And look at all the subsidiaries for the major banks, and you'll find a staggering 40% of the subsidiaries are Web3 based subsidiaries now. No advice or anything, but I'm just saying that if you find domains connected to those subsidiaries and you want to find your blue chips, bam. Is it going to be a 10x or a 100x? Maybe not, but you will make money because you're finding where all the bank's money is going into and what Web3 assets are they using to farm for liquidity,
I'm with you, Larry, 100%. I want to get down to Rodri. He's had his hand up. I want to bring him in here. What's going on, man? Welcome to the stage. Rodri XO Zodin, however you pronounce it. What's going on, man?
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good, brother.
Nice to hear. So, yeah, I want also to share my opinion about Bitcoin, alt season, as we all expect. And yeah, Chase already told you I'm very young. I'm 18. I started crypto with 16. And yeah, my personal opinion on Bitcoin is we're going to see a bear market. It's just a matter of time, and we got a lot of signals for that. But here's the thing. As we all know, there are cycles, right? But cycles, you can never put 100% on cycles because they only rhyme. So, but on this cycle, it's a bit different because it's not going to be the same anymore. I don't think we will go back to like 18K or below 50K because we pumped so much. When we topped, I guess we will come down like 60 to 80% down from there, and that's going to be our leg. But yeah, it's just my thought about Bitcoin, and I have my trading analysis is I search for confluence because I also trade. And yeah, I got already 2 signals. Now I'm waiting for the 3rd signal. We are very close to it. I work with RSI divergences, then also with moving averages. I know people are not the best fans of moving averages. I see it. But if you can work with moving averages and you know how it works, then I can tell you, you can also gain with that. I'm using it. I got my own strategy with it. It works. It depends on which time frame you use it. Let's say you use it on a 15 minutes time frame.
Indicators are useless to trading, brother. I disagree with you, please.
Well,
sorry.
I use them as a help, but you can say they are useless. They are not useless.
I'm sorry, guys. Give me a moment. Zach, Cornflux just went vertical 50%.
What did?
Cornflux, CFX.
Why?
I have no idea. It's an ETH alternative, but no idea. It just went from 9 to 14. One move.
This altcoin market's crazy, man.
Good, guys. Sorry.
No, it's good stuff. I mean, Rodri, I want to kind of unpack a little bit of what you said there for a second. Because I agree with you. I think some type of big pullback is coming at some point, but I think in the near short term, I'm bullish. If I had to put a time frame on it, which is tough, you know, the next 4 to 5 months, give or take, maybe a little shorter, but eventually we're going to get a big retracement, 100%. But how do you combat that thesis from a technical standpoint, what's happening in the macro? Because I tend to see a lot of technical minds, while they're really good at that, they're not necessarily the best at looking at the macro, looking at fundamentals. So, like, based on what's going on in the macro right now, how do you, you know, put that up against what's showing on the charts? And do you agree? Do you think short term we're going to go up just to, you know, eventually here sooner rather than later enter into a bear?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you also why I agree with that short term, because when you, I don't know if people look up to the liquidation heat map. I look to it, and when you look up to it, we got people try to short, that try to make money, right? And it's not gonna be that easy for everyone. They won't make it easy, so they grab your liquidation. And if there is an opportunity for the market makers to pump it again, they will use it, right? And yeah, I think when you zoom out, and as you said, 4 to 5 months, then it's different. I also think we're gonna, yeah, it's hard to say, but we're gonna dip. Yeah, we're gonna when it's just a matter of time, and I think governments play a role. And also, there's so much manipulation in the markets, and one of the big points are also is people don't have money anymore. Like people lost so much on the markets, the money, right? That's also a point.
I wanted to comment real quick, Rodri and Zach, on that. You know, when, like he was talking about, when market makers have faster API and faster bots, and they could create the, you know, latency phenomenon, it's hard to get leverage on any of those positions, right? Like that's what happened recently with a couple exchanges and market makers we talk about, right? But the bigger picture, though, Rodri, I think it's not a disagreement with what you're saying or with Zach's inferences on macros. This is the biggest macro that we have to pay attention with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, like gold, we know that there is a finite supply, right? And world's governments and banking and many funds, insurance are based on the liquidable nature of Bitcoin as a vehicle. And people have said, oh, it's not hyperdeflationary. It's very hyperdeflationary because it buys time, right? It's not hyperdeflationary in the normal sense, right? But the fact of the matter is that we are down to 6% of blocks on a good day. Yeah, we don't know how much other Bitcoin's actually, you know, in cold storage somewhere. We know there's lots, right? And it could bring some supply back to open markets for consumption. But as far as mining is concerned, the supply is very finite. And that's why we are in this arms race for Bitcoin, right? So while I don't disagree with you that the markets are not going to experience their up and downs, because you know, we used to think that it was crazy when we had a 3-week volatility cycle. Now volatility cycles are within 6 to 10 hours, right? We never experienced these type of market dips or this type of you know, stormy weather, right? But the fact of the matter is on Bitcoin that it will remain paramount because, like gold, we built, you know, collateral financial systems and the leverage for said pools, right? U.S. Treasury note again is the biggest, you know, stable token ever created. The dollar on the U.S. Treasury note is what's making all, it's been the vehicle, it's been the action for everything, right? So we look at gold and we look at silver before, but Bitcoin is as finite, and we know the known supply for Bitcoin for the most part. So it's going to only increase in value. And that's why we have concepts like basket ETFs. Like you have all of these other commodities that are on borrowed time. And it really goes to the saying that, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul is really a real thing now, because That's the nature of our financial markets, right? Retail is very time sensitive, right? Retail market is, when we get these $2,000 stimulus, we probably will see a market upturn for a short period of time, but when that liquidity draws down, we probably will experience an extreme dip, right? So people are looking at that already. I was talking to a couple quants today for work. The first thing they said, if this $2,000 stimulus bill gets signed, we'll have a 10 to 15 to 20% pump in the market, and then we'll see a 30 or 40% regression because people will be quick to collateralize the long to short positions based on that infusion of liquidity. And that's what I'm talking about. Now retail liquidity is very flash pan. You have 24 to 48 hours, 72 hours to capitalize on retail liquidity infusions because this will be a mass volume event. And then after that, people will try to leverage that. But
well,
like
Larry, I talked about this in Florida too. I mean, if you look at the price action, that Bitcoin had last cycle, really what it was two big moves. We saw a big move in early 2021.
Yep.
Then we had a big drawdown. Everybody thought it was over, right? I call it the dog days of summer back in 2021, where everybody left. And then we had the blow off top. Now, we also had altcoin runs with Bitcoin running. But now you fast forward to where we are now, and really starting after the FTX collapse, Bitcoin has been on a slow grind up.
It's going to continue that way. It's very similar to gold, Zach.
It's a slow grind up, and altcoins ebb and flow. Certain things move.
Certain are moving though. Like for example, we have to have a mathematical replacement and solution for Bitcoin, right? So like Litecoin and Caspa, it's either going to be like narrative driven by which your ethical beliefs are, etc. But I haven't seen those proof of work commodities lose that much price action, right? People are still very interested in these minables, right? But like you said, gold has had a 1,000-year head start on Bitcoin, right? But the same type of slow grind up to attrition is going there because it's one of the few commodities. It's the first of its kind, right? That has a finite supply that we can work off and we can forecast off of, right? And now, it's going to continue to raise in value. You might, like Matasco says, you might wait today, tomorrow, 3 weeks, a year, but if you're going to be in this, you got to be in this the whole time. You can't be a bandwagon jumper. You got to stay and kind of stick to what but it's just really just follow the money. What are the banks double downing or using collateral, or what's the leverage in their pools? It's Bitcoin, it's physical property, or it's gold, or the U.S. Treasury note. There's not much else in between right now that broad markets are going to accept, right? There are some singularities in the market, right? But for the most part, anything that we have is based on a USDT pool, right? To a lesser extent, the other stables, and then Bitcoin or ETH, right? And what are those backed on? Well, eventually, some way, somehow, it has to come back to fiat, right? So that's on the US dollar, no matter which way we look at it. I used to disagree with that to a certain extent because I thought other players would change their narrative or change their SOP. But when I saw UnionPay, decide to integrate into Swift, and we have Swift COM3 language now, like I showed the diagram to everyone, and it was just crazy. I got so much shit for throwing that, and I did it here on Crypto Breakfast Club, that it's U.S. banks, Europe banks, and Chinese banks cooperating together. And if you just look at that, that tells you what you need to know. That is the momentum for the future. We can create all of these PvP narratives. They do that, just like what Zach was talking about, that $10 million bounty on Zcash. But I mean, let's look at what's happening now. The fastest granted U.S. Treasury banking license and mixed commodity license went to the founders of Palantir and what's that other company called? I can't think right now. Andro. That's never happened before, right? And you got to look at, companies even like Tesla, Elon. You look at diversification, right?
How else
for
are
their
they going
bottom line.
to get the money back into the system? Come on now.
Exactly, Zach. I'm not. So everyone's saying good stuff, but at the end of the day, like you know, it's really, you're either going to be a band. Like it's time to put on your foil hat because everything that we never thought could happen would happen post-election cycle.
It's not conspiracy. It's business.
Yeah, it is exactly, and you know, just kind of stick to your wheels. What you know, I mean, banking and financial instruments are based around just a few base commodities. One of them, like we're just talking about, is gold. Gold has been on a meteoric rise, but now it's on a slow, steady grind. It might go down $1 or $2 here per gram, but it's just, that's it. You know, you see Bitcoin, people were complaining we're at 100, you know, from 120 down to 101. You know, we touched 99, but we're back up to 110, 107 today.
And guess where we were a year ago, Larry, on Bitcoin?
30K. I should have bought some more.
No, a year ago it was right here. That's the thing people don't realize. It really hasn't moved.
During the bear. I'm sorry.
The last year, like started like right now from 364 days before today, Bitcoin's basically the same.
Are you winning, son?
Yeah, I mean, let's look at this. That the last big crash was a test for how much the market could tolerate, right? It was bloody, but like Zach was talking about, Bitcoin has not really fell off its trajectory for that. It is one of the safest. If it's good enough for the banks, it should be good enough for you, is what I'm saying. You got to be able to tune the noise out, and it's been a legacy foundational token. Not just for, it's one thing if it has been the main foundational token, well, the four for Web3, but now it is a main foundational asset for traditional finance, and it has been for a long time. So
I want to get to good stuff as always. Make sure you guys are following all the speakers up here. Share the space if you haven't already. I want to get to Ahmed, and then Zik had his hand up too. Ahmed, go ahead, and then Zik, feel free to jump in after.
Hello, Zach. Long time no see. It's good always to see you, Matasco. Seriously, I feel optimistic just by seeing your new PFP, Zach, and also Matasco. Seriously. So it's good to see you all. I was away for 2 weeks for just handling my business, but I'm going to give you the ultimate things. And this guy, Larry, I'm following you now. Finally, someone say it like it is, you know? I just love it, you know? No bullshit, nothing. So, and as Larry said, there is some good ingredient to check what is the next blue chip. My advice to you guys, I'm going to give it, I will save your time. Check any coin that compliant with the ISO 20022. These coins just have a little bit on each one of them. I'm not doing that right now. I had before some of them, but one of them, sorry. But in the near future, I hope I can catch it before it's really boom, because these coins, I'm talking like, look, again, ISO 20022. These very important coins, because banks will have a big deal in them. Maybe we'll have like a big deal with them, and maybe they are have big interest in them. So check them, please, guys. Okay, and have your spot position on them. That's all I'm gonna say. And yeah, and again, as I'm saying, Bitcoin is good to store value, but it's not the big bang in crypto.
Nice. I'll jump in there on Dan Thomas there. Just on what Larry was saying, like, loved what he was saying there. I've been around since 2017. The one thing I sort of don't buy into anymore, and it's still a valid point. Like, obviously, there's a lot of BTC. We know the total supply that's going to come out. But now that we have futures markets, we're not just trading the solid asset anymore. There's a lot of paper trading on most major cryptos, which can be easily manipulated. And a lot of people took a hard look at different crypto institutions for the October 10th crash. And ironically, just recently, the biggest price manipulator of all time just switched his tune on Bitcoin, which is JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon. I wouldn't be surprised if they've had a hand in what's happened recently, trying to get themselves into the market with everybody else. So with the big institutions coming in, I think we're going to see big money come in, but we're also going to have to be a lot more careful than we were in the past. Like you saw a lot of leverage traders, a lot of OGs get wiped out last month. So we will be playing with people who have a lot more money than we do in the future, which I think people have to be very careful of. And it's going to be interesting to see how yesterday's bill passes now that the institutions can pass interest secured onto their customers. I think that could be a big catalyst for stuff like ETH and Solana. If they can buy that, stake their ETFs. That's free interest for them. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out. I don't know if you guys touched on it earlier, but if you haven't, what is your guys' take on the institutions being able to pass interest along?
Real quick, Zach, and what Zach and Tasco, what all of you have been talking about, it is interesting how high risk financial markets on TradFi side and banks were required to have something called FDIC and a surety, right? And now it's been quietly packed away in silence and moved, right? Because like you said, people are trading paper on speculative assets, right? To a certain extent, Web3 is the ultimate speculative asset, but it's been compounded by, like you said, paper trading, right? And there's no type of, they're really strict, policy side post-Biden for some type of, consensus on that, right? But now that's disappeared totally. It's not even in the talks because people kind of, the same type of flexibility is this, the same volatility creates some of the same flexibility that we're enjoying in the markets, right? But at some point, as all of these become more mainstream, consumer, it's funny, we're the most against that to a certain extent, privacy-wise, but now I foresee, because the increase in privacy narrative and ISO standards, that these same standards, if you look at the ISO as a structure as a whole, there will be a huge demand for some type of a surety to a certain extent. It might not be able to cover like all of your deposits, but like say 60 or 70%, because the transient market volume is becoming so high that without some type of a surety, it's always going to have this gray area feel. And as banks become like, a more intrinsic part of the environment, of the ecosystem, then I think that's something that's coming. So that's just my 10 cents. I'll give it to Metasco. Sorry about that.
Exactly. No, Matt, go ahead. Sorry, you had your hand up early.
No, I'm just saying exactly, because banks literally will use it like an opening for new market. You know what I mean? So, and as they will reach other markets without even like the need of opening an actual physical locations there. So yeah, crypto is the best thing for them for the next in the near future. Let's say yes, Mutasco.
Giving it to Matt. Matt, are you here?
Yeah.
Matt, go ahead if you want.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Larry something here real quick before I forgot all about it. 2 parts, Larry, in 4 different types of question. 1, Sandbox. You mentioned Sandbox a few months back. I was just curious if there was anything else going on with that one, if you can speak on it, and as far as like the ISO plays, I have a buddy who is on Coinbase, and they locked him out. They did this 5 to 7 day security thing on him because they said his transaction was too big. And immediately I thought of how banks lock out so like, let's say you do an unusual transaction, and let's say you normally do like $5 transactions a day. Then all of a sudden one day you have a $50,000 deposit. Now, with the regulation today, banks will stop that $50,000 deposit and investigate it for 5 to 7 days until they realize, oh, it's a legit deal. He sold a house. And then they'll let you have those funds, but not before 5 to 7 days. Now, my buddy had a transaction similar to this on Coinbase. They locked his account for 5 to 7 days. So that being said, one, Sandbox, what's your thoughts if you want to give them? And two, with central exchanges acting like banks now, have they secretly turned into banks and we don't know about it?
Yeah, I'll address both of those. So Sandbox, they had a lot of big ambassadors and properties that they just had left in limbo a little bit because of the downturn of the markets. But they have some exclusive, like, you want to talk about slice of life, and there's a reason why not just like financial institutions, but a lot of academic institutions now are recreating metaverse. This is even nation state level. So like, for example, at KIT, we have a metaverse lab, and that's a defense and a technology accelerator, right? In Gumi in South Korea. So that's one. So it's slow and steady because, the type of free enterprise retail investment is not around like it used to be. But the big advantage that Sandbox and Sand has is the amount of active users or people that still hold accounts on their DApp, etc. So that by itself, you can't buy that anymore, right? We used to ask, like, how much does it cost to get people from Web 2 into Web 3? And now it's the other way around. Now Web 2 is like, what can we do, or brick and mortar business, TradFi, how much do we need to spend to get Web 3 business into Web 2? It's kind of a flipped on its head scenario. So for the long term, based on what I just told you about that, I think Sand will do well. That's point A. Point B is on exchanges is when you look at market makers, centralized exchanges as a whole, it's not just the fact that they want to slow down, like they are the banks now, but but again, I always said that Web 2 has gaslighted policy and compliance for Web 3. What I mean by that is when we look at Binance and we look at Coinbase as a whole, do you think they're slowing down your transactions or pausing your transactions because they're worried about what you're doing? No, they're worried about that at key points that, because you'll see it in quants, when a few large the withdrawals are made on these exchanges, then you'll see more, because people are into panic watching wallets and charts now. As soon as they see, because like on Whale Watch, you'll see these huge withdrawals of USDT go from usually not US-based centralized exchanges, but for example, Binance also is a good example. They're also not guilty of it, or MEXC. And we've seen the drama happen between MEXC. But Coinbase has less of a problem with that because they have policy side, right? So moonlighting and gaslighting banking policy to make sure that their pools are not too shallow, so they can continue to market make and manipulate charts, and they create the artificial latency. Let's look at blockchains as a whole. Blockchains are immutable, so I'm not stupid, right? None of you are stupid here. You have Bitcoin at 7 TPS, right, to 10 TPS, right? But then you have chains like Algorand, 40,000, 38,000 TPS, and now we have even faster quant chains. I just don't believe that you have all these years of API, this is addressing Binance and Coinbase, that you are not stopping people's money so they can't re-leverage on shorts and longs on perps and futures, right? So that they can get wrecked, so they're the only positions that are safe. And that's why we're seeing this huge swing into DEXs and into swaps, right? That are community consensus. What I will tell you though is Zach, didn't I not tell everyone to beware of Binance and Aster when we were talking about the emerging trend of DEXs, right? A DEX can't be a DEX when it's Binance wholly and supplied with, and I'm not taking anything away from CZ, he's a smart guy, I'm not taking anything, but how can you be a decentralized exchange that's community consensus, which a DEX supposed to be, and the commodities are traded, when all of the liquidity, all of the backing, you get instant, and you have the vehicle, the financial vehicle token of itself be listed on an exchange, the biggest centralized exchange in the world from day one. I told people that there are other alternatives like Hyperliquid and Lighter, but none of them are perfect. But you really have to look at, is it community consensus? Because if you have the ability, you have all of the shared API for all the major banks, whatever, you can manipulate data and say, oh, we have this latency. You can look at Wintermeat and their cooperation with Solana and Jupiter and Meteora. People were getting wrecked because they couldn't even respond. Not even talking about people's on perps or futures, but they couldn't even get their money out or use stables. And so if you look at it that way, Matt, if you look at it as, are they creating these conditions for latency and stagnation on the chain itself? And then they're using banking policy to gaslight, oh, we don't want to start a chain of liquidations, right? That makes our liquidity pool short, because then we don't have the ability to continue to market make and use a quant to continue to make money for the exchange, because that's their primary function. People need to get into their mind that centralized exchanges are not there to be your friends or to help you make money. They are not. They're there to make money on your money, just like a bank, right? And that's why when you spend more than $500, boom, you're on a list. And then this even extends to nation states. So you can look at what England is doing now. They know that 60% of their wealth, at medium age from 21 to 35, is outside of the UK. So now they are tracking every wallet transaction. You spend more than £300 and you move, they're tracking your movements through your cellular devices and your banking transactions, right? So it's become serious business now. It's just like when I went to the airport, I had a necklace around my neck, and they wanted to charge, and it was from my departing airport, and they wanted to say, oh, you sure you want to take that out? Have you paid duties on it? I said, I bought it here. I've had it for years. It's part of my culture. Why can't I wear this? And the same kind of gatekeeping is happening on if you have, and this is